What is going on? A to Z Sports. Sam Phelan coming at you live with a Titans practice live right outside of St. Thomas Sports Park here in Nashville, Tennessee. Recapping minicamp day one. This is the practice live minicamp edition as the voluntary OTAs are over and mandatory minicamp is now what we're looking at for the Titans, where players are expected to be here in the building and be on the practice field. Some injury exceptions there, but we have quite a few storylines to talk about. Number one is going to be the man that everybody was wondering about throughout OTAs, throughout all of the offseason. It is all-pro safety Kevin Byard, who is here at Titans minicamp. So we are going to hear from Titans head coach Mike Vrabel about the return of KB. I'll tell you guys what I saw on the practice field from Kevin Byard and how I felt like he looked in his return to the field. We'll hear from some of his defensive teammates and how they are feeling his impact early on here in the month of June. Then we'll talk about the on-field product from both the offense and the defense, what side of the ball won today's practice, and what I feel was a pretty handled things handily. Like it was kind of a not really close what side of the ball was performing better. We'll hear from some players who have confidence and energy in their position group. And then finally, one sneaky Tennessee Titan who believes he is due for a breakout season. One Titan who thinks a breakout season is coming, and Mike Vrabel might even agree with him, and not enough Titans fans are talking about him. So those are some of the topics we'll talk about today and so much more. But today's version of Titans Practice Live is powered by my friends over at Holiday World. You can get your tickets at holidayworld.com and visit what was recently voted the top water park in the Midwest at holidayworld.com. Get those tickets. And the Nashville Super Speedway. NASCAR is back in Nashville from June 23rd to 25th at Nashville Super Speedway, and tickets are going fast. Get yours by visiting NashvilleSuperspeedway.com now. Okay, let's talk Kevin Byard, the man that you see down on the graphic, the man that fans have been asking about since the moment the offseason began, who was in the building today and on the practice field for the first time in front of the media. You get a look at KB there in the nice 31, getting his stretching on. He worked with Amani Hooker during the individual period, and he was on the field. And I have to say, Kevin Byard did not miss a beat. Not that there was any doubt that he would, but in typical KB fashion, he immediately brought some energy and made some plays on the defensive side of the ball. His presence was immediately felt. No, his best play of the day really came towards the end of the practice in a live period. Ryan Tannehill and the first team offense on the field against the first team defense. The energy was starting to pick up on the practice field behind me, and KB immediately cuts in front of Chigakonkwo for an impressive PBU to break things up on what I believe was a third down scenario that the Titans were running. So we heard from Mike Vrabel last week. We heard from Jeffrey Simmons last week that they didn't really doubt that Kevin was going to come ready to go and come prepared. And that's what I saw out there on the field today. Let's hear from Mike Vrabel on what he saw out of KB.
How did he look out there on the field?
Looked like everybody else. Looked like he knew what he was supposed to be doing and like he was in good shape. So it's good to have everybody out there that's ready to perform and able to be out there.
So not a huge surprise there. The Titans head coach happy to have his veteran leader on the defensive side of the ball back and on the field. Says he looked like he was supposed to, looked like he's been taking care of business. But really the question is, how are the players responding to have Kevin back in the building? This is the longest tenured Titan on defense, of a leader that these young guys on the secondary look up to, but really everybody on the defense feeds off of his energy, his leadership, his know-how. And we heard from a Titans newcomer who really hasn't had the opportunity to speak that much with Kevin until now. Here's linebacker Aziz Alishire on what Kevin brings to the table now that he's back in the building.
And being in the back end today.
I really didn't notice it at all. No, I'm joking. No, man, it's really good. Like just a breath of fresh air. You know, obviously a guy who has a ton of experience. You know, you've been in the league longer than, you know, obviously a lot of players. And I think you were the longest tenured Titan, I want to say. So, I mean, it's just really good to have him in the building. And, you know, I got to meet him at his function that he had earlier in the year, earlier in the season. Like, it was like a month and a half ago when I first got here. So it was good to talk to him again, see him in the building again, and everybody was happy to see him, obviously.
You hear it right there. Tennessee Titans linebacker Aziz Alishire talking about the impact Kevin Byard has, the energy. That's something that's very contagious on the field and really translates and is felt by those of us on the sidelines. We're just out there watching the practice, but I can tell you that the defense was rallying around Kevin Byard today when he made that play that I mentioned earlier, cutting in front of Chig for the pass breakup, a big play in a third down live scenario. The sideline lit up, like blew up, went crazy, went nuts for the Titans defense. And KB is clearly a leader and somebody that they feed off of. I'm still not really sure, and perhaps we will never get answers on just how much the offseason and the contract situation and the Titans asking Kevin to take a pay cut affected his relationship with the organization. We may never get answers on that. Kevin didn't speak to the media today. I don't know when he will speak to the media, and we will be able to get answers. And when we get them, maybe he won't actually tell us what's on his mind. But I don't think we have any reason to believe that the mayor of Murfreesboro will not be on the Tennessee Titans roster and on the field for week 1. He's given us no reason to believe he's not ready. He's given us no reason to believe he doesn't want to be here. And the Titans, to this point, have not given us a reason to believe they're looking to go in another direction. So I expect Kevin Byard to be on this team. I expect him to be the same old Kevin Byard Titans fans are used to watching and have him be a leader of this defense and one of the best safeties in all of football. Speaking of Kevin's impact on the defense, I felt like the defense won today's practice, and a couple Titans players agreed with me and shouted that out in their interviews after practice, saying, I feel like we won today, and they're feeling really good about where things stand. I'm going to show you guys those interviews, see which Titans are talking the talk about their defensive performance. But first, I want to tell you about my friends over at Nashville Super Speedway, because NASCAR is back in Nashville June 23rd to 25th at Nashville Super Speedway, and tickets are going fast. From your favorite drivers to your favorite country singers, including award-winning artist Parker McCollum, Nashville's premier race weekend has it all, and this year's NASCAR Cup Series race is under the lights and in prime time. With live performances on the Fan Zone stage all weekend, premium spaces to bring your race weekend experience to the next level, like line dancing, a mechanical bull, and so much more. There's something for the whole family during Nashville Super Speedway's triple header race weekend. I will be there. Grab your tickets. You should be there. We've got the Rackley Roofing 200, the Tennessee Lottery 250, and on Sunday, June 25th, that's that night race. It's the NASCAR Cup Series race, the Ally 400. Get your tickets before they're gone by visiting NashvilleSuperspeedway.com now. NashvilleSuperspeedway.com now to get your tickets for that event. Hope to see you guys all there. Okay, let us talk about this defense, and a defense that felt like they won today's practice. Two guys shouted this out. Number one, Amani Hooker, talking about the competitive energy in the building, on the field, the confidence the defense has, and him saying, oh yeah, we won today.
Did the competition ramp up over these 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, energy's high. Guys are competing. I mean, even though it's not training camp right now, but guys are still trying to make a name for themselves, find a role on the team, and so the competitiveness is up there for sure.
Who won today?
I guess we'll see the film, but I mean, I'm gonna say defense for sure. I've seen a lot of passes that QB had to tuck down and run, so he must do a good job on the back end too.
Was it even close?
I mean, we'll see. I don't want to give a win or loss right now.
That's fair.
There's Amani Hooker, Titans safety, talking about the defense winning today's practice. And I have to tell you, I agree with him. I mentioned it earlier, but I felt like the defense were the overall winners. Early on in the live period, we saw Ryan Tannehill get some rhythm. He hooked up with Kyle Phillips a few times, hooked up with Treylon Burks a few times, even threw a nice touchdown pass to Chigakonkwo over the top of the defense, back of the end zone. Really nice throw and catch. But for the most part, the defense was kind of all over things. Malik Willis, Will Levis both had plays blown dead because of some sacks, some near interceptions. Ryan Tannehill almost threw an interception at one point with the Kevin Byard PBU. A lot of plays being made, a lot of winning up front, hands-on footballs, and the defense, both the front and the back, like Amani said, felt like they were getting the job done. When you have a lot of plays blown dead and the ball not getting thrown in some of these live periods, that's how you know the secondary is doing their job and clamping things. I then followed up. I got with Aziz Alishire when he was at the podium and said, hey, Amani says you guys won. Do you agree with that statement, and where's your confidence in the defense right now?
Out there.
I'm going to always agree with that. They might torture us a couple times, and I still get off the field to tell you that. So, I would agree. I think this is good, competitive energy, which is what you want. You know, I was talking to the guys in the locker room after we just got done. Like, at the end of the day, like, every single day you come in here, you compete and you sharpen each other. You know, tools, iron sharpen iron, and that's how we're gonna be, you know, a winning team.
All smiles there from Aziz Alishire talking about the defense, how he says, look, I'm so confident. I will always say we won, even if we got torched. But Mike Vrabel did add on to this, kind of cited a couple of the positives he took from day one of minicamp. One of those was the defensive line. He feels like even though these guys don't have pads on, right, it's always difficult to judge a D-line or an O-line without the pads. But he says their pad level, the way they're playing with their hands, all very positive signs for him. He said the outside linebackers, especially some of these newcomers like Arden Key, have given the Titans really productive reps so far in minicamp. And then having that secondary back and the good communication that you have back there with Kevin Byard back on the field is the recipe to have a very complete defense. Now, no Elijah Molden, no Christian Fulton at mandatory minicamp today. Those things possibly injury related. You never really know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't have any reason to believe those two are missing minicamp right now. They're in the building. We've seen Elijah Molden. We've seen Christian Fulton in the building. They're just not on the practice field right now. But this is the recipe for this Titans defense. If you can get good play out of your outside linebackers, you know what you have in Danico Autry. You know what you have in Jeffrey Simmons. You know what you have in Tier Tart, who just signed his second-round tender. And now you're adding guys like Aziz Alishire, getting more reps for Monty Rice. You added Sean Murphy-Bunting to Roger McCreary and Kevin Byard and Amani Hooker in the secondary. And a Titans defense starts coming together that could be really, really impressive and cause problems for the rest of the AFC South. I see a comment here coming in from Charles saying, how did the receivers look? Well, Charles, one guy that I'm about to tell you about is in fact a wide receiver, and one of the wide receivers that Titans fans aren't really talking about. You hear a lot about Kyle Phillips, you hear a lot about Treylon Burks, but here is a wide receiver that believes he's due for a breakout season, and Mike Vrabel agreed with him. Before I tell you about who that is and we hear from him, I want to tell everybody about Holiday World. Holiday World was recently voted the top water park in the Midwest. They have a Holidays in the Sky drone and fireworks spectacular for the 4th, and it's bigger and better than ever. From June 17th to July 30th, you can see 400 LED lit drones and a one-of-a-kind 15-minute show to celebrate the 4th of July. There's soft drinks, there's parking, there's sunscreen, and Holidays in the Sky. It's all free with admission to the park. There's a DJ and a dance party before the show, and it ends with a firework finale. Not to mention award-winning rides. Who doesn't love some award-winning rides like the Thunderbird, the Voyage, and some wooden roller coasters? Fun for the whole family. So much to do. You have to get your tickets and visit one of the top water parks in the Midwest at Holiday World. Tickets at holidayworld.com. Okay, here it is. I don't know if you can guess who I'm talking about. Ken can. It is Racy McMath. Jacob says there's no way it's Racy, but it is Racy McMath, who I spoke to after Titans practice today. Had a lot of good things to say, and Mike Vrabel had some praise for Racy as well. Let's hear what Racy believes he can do if he can just stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm working, be the best I can, find my role, help the team, get to where we want to be.
Do you feel like you're capable of giving this team much more than just on special teams?
Yeah, I know I'm capable of doing both. Special teams, offense, being a great receiver, being a great special teams guy, I can do all of it.
One of the things it looks like that they've been working on with you too is, last year when you were in, they'd have you run a lot of go routes, but it seems like you're running some more underneath catch and run type of stuff. How you adapting to that?
Just wherever coach put me at, whatever the play call, I'm just running my route, trying to get over.
What kind of things are you looking to really take that jump in, to take that next step and get that more opportunity in the offense?
Yeah, just staying healthy and taking advantage of the opportunities I have, making the plays when my name called.
Did you switch up an off-season routine, anything like that, to work on staying healthier this year?
Yeah, I worked on some different things, just trying to stay more mobile, my balance, and just things like that. Trying to stay stability type things.
Did you feel like you were on your way to having a breakout year until you got the hip injury?
Yeah, but it's in God's hands. I'm out here working still.
So that is Tennessee Titans wide receiver Racy McMath, who said he feels like he was on pace for a breakout season. I see Bork coming in with a comment saying that, Racy looking good in minicamp is becoming a tradition. And you're not wrong, right? I mean, we heard the same story about Racy McMath this time last year during training camp. He was a deep threat that Ryan Tannehill went to quite often. They were airing it out for him. Racy, a guy that they were kind of looking to have some sort of impact on their offense, be able to stretch the field a little bit. And we saw a lot of positive things out of Racy. He then had the hip injury in training camp that made him miss significant time. Basically, the entire first part of the year, only played in a few games, had just 2 catches on the season. His best game was 1 catch for 39 yards against Dallas there right at the end of the season. But can Racy McMath be the deep threat the Titans need in their offense when fully healthy? He seems to think so. He seems to think it's right there. And as you heard when I asked him, what have you done? He switched his offseason routine, trying to stay more flexible, more mobile, so that another injury, another hip problem doesn't pop up for him, something Mike Vrabel encouraged these Titans to do. If you've had injury problems, find a way to train. Here's the Titans head coach about what he's seen out of Racy and what he thinks he could do to earn more opportunities in the offense.
In terms of taking a step forward beyond just special teams contributions?
Well, that would be a good place to start. As like we tell everybody that's looking to earn a role, that is the fastest way to finding a role is on special teams, being an elite special teams player, gunner, disruptive, potentially looking to be able to return the football. And then offensively, really just pick up where he left off. And I know the practice is important for everybody, but I saw when Racy was out there in training camp and improving and getting better and adjusting to the football down the field, he made some plays, and then unfortunately had a setback, and no fault of his. It's just, I think some of that stuff, you have to practice some of that stuff. You have to practice running full speed and 40 yards down the field and being able to adjust to the football and go up and make a play.
That's Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Vrabel discussing wide receiver Racy McMath, what he needs to do to take a bigger role in the Titans offense this season. Racy, another one of those guys that the Titans are heavily going to rely on and bet on that upside. We heard from Tim Kelly last week about, Kyle Phillips against the New York Giants was a different player than Kyle Phillips the rest of the year. Nick Westbrook-Akine against the Washington Commanders was a different guy than who we saw the rest of the year. He also pointed out Racy McMath's game against the Dallas Cowboys as the high upside of what he can be. This is just another one of these guys that's going to be in the mix to make plays for the Titans in the wide receiver room. I mean, if you're counting it out, who is it? I mean, is he wide receiver 5 right now? Is he wide receiver 4? He does bring something that a lot of these guys don't have, which is a big frame, burner speed down the field, and the ability to make a big play and go up and get it deep. If that's something the Titans want to incorporate into their offense, Racy McMath is not a bad option or candidate to earn that job if he's healthy. But it does start with what Mike Vrabel said, his special teams impact. I see some of the comments coming in about Colton Dowell, who is another one of these guys, right? A 7th-round rookie out of UT Martin, who the Titans are rolling the dice on. He looks the part. I think he's still working on, polishing some things with his route running, handling the installation of the offense and the pace of the NFL. But Colton Dowell does look the part. Haven't seen a ton of him with the first team to really get a gauge of how impactful he could be. But that could obviously change as minicamp progresses and training camp progresses. And Kyle Phillips, I will say, looks like the healthy Kyle Phillips we were raving about in training camp last year. The guy who we saw in that New York Giants game in week 1 that had over 60 receiving yards and seemed to be a huge part of the Titans offense. He looks healthy again. He looks to be running well again. And if Kyle Phillips is that guy, Racy McMath looking to be that guy as well. That's all we've got for today, but it is minicamp week, which means instead of next week, I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back out here with another version of Titans minicamp as we see if any of these players that were not out here today return. We continue to progress into storylines. I'll try and check out some of these undrafted wide receivers, get an interview with them, or check out their game, see if we have any significant contributions from Jacob Copeland or Trayshawn Harrison. I'll check in with Will Levis and Malik Willis and the Titans QB situation as well as things develop. And maybe, just maybe, Kevin Byard will speak. Before we get out of here, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors one more time with the Nashville Super Speedway, my friends over at Holiday World. Sam Phelan with A to Z Sports about the same time tomorrow. Make sure you guys are joining us for another version of Titans Practice Live. We'll see ya.